And we are back. Welcome to night 2 of Matchday 2 in the Champions League after what was a very, very rough evening for myself. Manchester United lost, Luton lost, and I only got 2 out of 9 predictions correct last night. But that is the fun of the series. If it was easy, we would all do it. But we move on, we try again today, and we see if we can do any better this evening. As for the Manchester United, if you missed last night's reaction, that will be available for you basically around my face right about now, and thank you for all of you who did watch last night. You actually managed to break my record for the most views in the first hour of a video being posted on this channel, so thank you as always for all of your support, and I'll give you one more push to see if we can reach 1,000 subscribers potentially by the end of the week at the rate we are gaining subscribers, so thank you again for that. And don't forget as always to drop a like on this video if you do enjoy all of my predictions and reactions series. Let's get into Wednesday's matches in the Champions League. And we start off in Group E with Atletico Madrid taking on Feyenoord. And let me just say, at the start once again, if you thought yesterday's games were hard to predict, these ones aren't going to get much easier. And I think this is already a very, very tough one to call. Atletico Madrid have made a very good start to the season in La Liga, but Feyenoord are once again the team to beat in the Eredivisie. And of course, they were able to get the win in Matchday 1 over Celtic. The only problem is their star man, Santiago Jimenez, is still suspended. I don't actually know why. I tried to find out why. I'm assuming he had a straight red card in his final game in whatever competition Feyenoord were in last season. But yeah, he's still suspended for tonight. He has 10 goals in 7 games from this season. So without him, and given how good Atletico are defensively, I think that will just about be enough to keep Feyenoord at bay and will allow Atletico to pick up the win. I'm going to go for 2-1 to Atletico Madrid. But like I say, Feyenoord are playing some very good football once again this season, and it would not surprise me to see them get a result this evening. What would surprise me to get a result this evening would be Celtic getting anything against Lazio. You know, I have absolutely no respect for Scottish football. If you've watched any of my videos over the last couple of years, I just don't think the Scottish teams are capable of competing with any of the major European League teams, and I think Lazio, again, will just be far too strong for Celtic. Of course, under the lights at Celtic Park, they're always capable of pulling off a result, but I just don't see it happening tonight. I'm going to go 3-0 to Lazio. And speaking of Lazio, they were defeated at the weekend by our first team in Group F, sorry, can't even get my letters out, which is AC Milan. AC Milan did beat Lazio 2-0 at the weekend. And AC Milan's only real poor performance this season was that aforementioned 5-1 against Inter Milan before Matchday 1. They have since been very, very good and were arguably very unlucky not to get the win against Newcastle in Matchday 1. They come up against the Borussia Dortmund side, who quite frankly have been very, very poor this season. They have been dropping points left, right and centre in the Bundesliga. They have really been underperforming, and it really makes you wonder how important the likes of Jude Bellingham were to that Dortmund side last year, because it's just not quite been happening for them yet this season. And against a team like AC Milan, who are playing some very, very good football at the moment, I think it's going to go the way of AC Milan, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to the away side in this one. But like I say, it's a tough night of fixtures, and Borussia Dortmund are definitely more than capable of getting the win. On to what I think most people are considering the biggest game of the night. It is Newcastle United taking on Paris Saint-Germain. Kylian Mbappe at St James's Park, and it is going to be absolutely rocking. Now, do I think Newcastle stand a chance of beating Paris Saint-Germain? Absolutely. For no other reason that Paris Saint-Germain have been really bad so far this season. They really have been massively underperforming. They have a lot of quality, as we all know. Yes, they lost Messi. Yes, they lost Neymar, but they signed the likes of Ousmane Dembele. They have still got a very, very talented attacking line. They have spent a lot of money on forwards this year. 80 million on Gonzalo Ramos, 90 million on Kolo Muani. They should definitely be the favourites going into this game. But like I say, the way PSG have played so far this season, it's just not been good enough. And Newcastle's performances over the last few weeks, they just haven't looked like conceding at all. So it's a really, really tight one to call, and I'm not going to split them. Newcastle were able to get the draw against AC Milan last time out. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I just think there's going to be one of those moments where Mbappe is going to get Trippier isolated. As much as we all like Kieran Trippier as a right back, he's just not got the pace to handle Mbappe. And I think there's going to be at least one occasion where Mbappe gets in on that side and it leads to a Paris Saint-Germain goal. But I also think Newcastle will be able to score at the other end as well. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting game. But at the end of it, I'm going for a 1-1 draw. On to Group G, and like I say, the tough fixtures just keep on coming. It's now Red Star Belgrade or Sferen Zvezda taking on Young Boys of Switzerland, and both sides have been very mixed in their forms. They've both been underperforming in their respective domestic league. They're both sitting about 3rd or 4th in their divisions, and both sides have been scoring goals for fun and conceding goals for fun. So you then have to look at, right, how did they get on in match day 1 in the Champions League? Well, they both lost 3-1. So there is literally nothing to separate these two sides so far this season. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. This literally could be absolutely anything. I think either side could win this 2 or 3-0. But equally, it could end up being a draw, which is why I'm going for the 2-2 draw. The other game in Group G sees RB Leipzig taking on what you would now have to say is an out-of-form Manchester City. Back-to-back defeats for City. Leipzig were able to get a draw against Bayern Munich at the weekend and arguably were unlucky not to beat Bayern Munich at the weekend. And like I say, City are looking to avoid 3 defeats in a row. They're going to need to bounce back quickly. They've got a lot of injuries to key players, but the one thing they have got going for them is they have played Leipzig a lot over the last few years and have always beaten them. So I'm going to go for 2-1 to Manchester City, but that is a very, very cautious 2-1 to Manchester City based on what I've seen from both Leipzig and City over the course of the last couple of weeks. On to Group H to round off match day 2. Then we start with Royal Antwerp taking on Shakhtar Donetsk. And again, could be a tough one, but I think Antwerp have to be considered quite strong favourites for this one. I'm going to go for 2-0 to them. I don't really see Shakhtar causing too many problems for Royal Antwerp defensively. And of course, Antwerp are a side that are more than capable of scoring goals. And it'd be a big result for them. It would be their first ever win in the Champions League. And then finally, it is Porto taking on Barcelona. And not many people are talking about Barcelona this season. I don't really understand why. They've been playing some really good football. Since the addition of João Felix, they have been scoring goals for absolute fun. And I'm not going to sit here and say that they're dark horses for the Champions League, because there are a lot of quality sides in it. But I think if they keep up the form that they've shown so far this season, they might start getting themselves back into the equation. And I think tonight's a very good opportunity for them to once again rack up a high scoreline. And I'm going to go for 4-1 to Barcelona to round off today's fixtures. Thank you very much for watching. As always, let me know down in the comments all of your thoughts for match day 2. And I will see you tomorrow, where we will once again be doing all 32 fixtures in the Europa League and Europa Conference League. I will see you then.